please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to Chartbusters, the show we're going to highlight all the buzzing stocks of the day, also give you some expert advice on how you can capitalize and trade. I'm Naishar D'Souza, and with me as always, Mangalam Malu. Hey Mangalam, on the index, we're more or less flattish. Right. We've recovered from the low point of the day, but the mid caps, they are doing well in today's trading session. Take a look at some of those stocks that are buzzing around downface on the screen.
Absolutely, Nigel. You know, the frontliners do not tell you the bigger story. The bigger story in the large caps, rather in the mid caps, the large number of stocks that are moving, what, 1400 in the green as compared to 500 in the red. And how are the portfolio guys celebrating individual stocks? Well, there's beer on the table. United Breweries is at the high point of the day. There's cheer on the table. United Spirits at the high point of the day. And then there is that customary smoke. No, we're not recommending that. But ITC and Godfrey Phillips, both of them at the high point of the day.
I just wonder, Mangalam, you know, you talk about being a teetotaler, and on a day-to-day basis, you keep talking about these stocks. I think there's a question mark out there.
I am a teetotaler, but it's always good to join in the fun and tell people that, you know, these stocks are buzzing around. In fact, I'm actually looking forward to the conversation we'll have with Ashwani later. But first up, all the top headlines that we're tracking at this point in time. Wipro divests hosted data center services business to Unsono for $405 million. The stock is the top Nifty gainer.
And Binani Cement's lenders have approved the resolution plan for the company. The lenders vote in favor of Dalmia Bharat and India Resurgence Fund to acquire Binani Cement. That's an exclusive.
In buzzing stocks, fertilizer stocks soar in trade today after the government extends urea subsidy till 2020. MMTC rallies over 14%. The board will consider and approve the proposal for issue of bonus shares on its meeting on the March of 19.
And MADA accuses HDFC of 1,200 crore fraud, but in conversation with CNBC TV18, the HDFC management says that there has been no fraud and every outstanding due to MADA will be covered in the NCLT resolution.
Canfin Homes, that stock is in focus. Reports suggest that HDFC has emerged as a front runner to acquire Canara Bank's 30% stake in the company. The stock is down on the risk of no open offer.
Well, it's that time of the day when, in fact, we focus on the Nifty and we get in Ashwani Gujral to tell us his take on how to trade the Nifty. Hey, Ashwani, good morning.
Good morning. See, today, early in the morning, I think a lot of bad news was thrown at the market, but you didn't really collapse. Even the stocks where the bad news was there haven't really collapsed. Now, on Thursdays, it's very important to see what happens on the bank Nifty. And my sense is that given that there are still probably short positions on the bank Nifty, latter half of the day, banks could outperform, and particularly those where there is downside right now. HDFC Bank generally tends to do very well, on such days. So these mild declines on the bank Nifty should be bought. Also on the Nifty, you need to be, buying into this weakness. Overall, I think the Nifty could head up to, 10,450, 470. Similarly, the banks could see 25,050. So today, your pinch hitters are lower down the order. So they'll come in later and probably take the market higher. That way, I think for the moment, HDFC Bank is a buy with a stop of 1865, target of 1900. ICICI Bank is a buy with a stop of 299, target of 313. And Axis Bank is a buy with a stop of 530, target of 565.
Ashwani and cricket can never take him away from that. But Ashwani, in individual stocks, you think it looks like a bit of an FMCG sort of day. HUL has currently moved to the high point of the day, recovered a bit from the low point. We have ITC, which has moved. And even in the broader markets, we have all these spirits and cigarette stocks, along with Titan also doing fairly well.
See, in this sort of a market, people are getting a bit defensive. So, Jubilant and, United Spirits, Titan, etc., they are bound to do well because they are, kind of non-rate sensitive, non-exporters. So they are kind of insulated from a lot of things. And that is the kind of year this is likely to be, that whereas, rate sensitive exporters, etc., they flow with the wind. But chances are that these, consumer companies continue to do well.
Ashwani, ahead of, we're expecting a a summer that's going to be, we're going to have to sweat it out, I believe. But Lille, Lloyd Electrics, erstwhile, that one, in fact, has been a rank underperformer in the last year or so. Stock is up in today's trading session. The volumes as well are picking up. How's it looking on the charts?
See, that's what I'm saying, that all kinds of consumer good companies, including Johnson Controls and Havels, everything is doing well. Lloyd Electric, that's trading around the 200-day moving average, making a sharp move. Possibly this is a beginning of a new move which could get up to 320, 325.
All right, Ashwani, thanks a lot for that. We'll keep an eye out on all these stocks. Let's take a short break. Actually, Nigel, you were saying you're a teetotaler and all of that. On the other side of the break, we'll discuss something that I consume.
Mangalam, I'm doubting this really. I'm thinking you're doing yourself no good.
No,
because mom's watching, the potential bride as well as watching.
There is
so
no
please
potential
be careful.
bride. Yes. We'll come back and we'll talk about milk. Prabhat Dairy. This is a Thursday, so we keep an eye out on the Nifty Bank weekly options. While the Nifty Bank is absolutely flat, recovered from the low point of the day, Nigel, we're seeing a lot of call writing at the 25,200 level. Just 12 lakh calls written out there. Not just that, we're seeing some writing at the 25,000 and the 25,100 call levels as well. Bulls believe bears believe these marks are something that they can defend, so we'll watch out for that.
Yeah, Mangalam, I just wanted to spot out Lille. Just before going to the break, we were talking about that one. Ashwani said after underperforming, now in fact it's looking like it's trading near support levels. That stock is up nearly around 10% as we speak. So Lille, let's pull up Lloyd Electric. The stock was as is higher. It was up by nearly around 5%. Ashwani said maybe in fact technically things are turning around for it and the stock is up close to around 10%. Just wanted to alert our viewers.
All right, so we'll keep an eye out on that, but let's get some milk. Vivek Nirmal, the joint MD of Prabhat Dairy, joins us on the phone line now. Dairy stocks, remember, have been buzzing. Procurement prices have been lower. A lot of brokerages have too written on this. So, Nirmal, Vivek, before we get into the nitty-gritties of the business, if you could give us an update on what exactly is the price at which you procure milk. We had Prabhat Dairy, Parag Milk say 21, 22 rupees. Yesterday, Quality said 22, 23. Is that the range that you pay as well?
Yes, that's the range that we pay as well for cow milk, particularly in Maharashtra. That's the price with the farmers. And ultimately, the landed cost is around additional 2 to 3 rupees per litre. So that's the normal price table what every dairy follows, and we are also following the same table.
And how does this compare with what you paid about 6 months ago?
So see, if you see particularly in last one whole year, the prices have corrected about 15%. And if you talk particularly about last 6 months, I think prices are pretty much stable since around October. So 6 months back, it was around 7-8% higher than what they are today in terms of the per litre pricing.
All right, Vivek. So, by going by what you're saying, it should be good for your gross margins, isn't it?
Yeah. So gross margins, we have seen continuous expansion in gross margins. Even the last quarter, year on year, we have been almost 3 to 4% higher in terms of gross margins. Definitely, it's impacting it.
All right, Vivek, a quick follow-up question. Gross margins, you said they're expanding. I go with that point. But what's happening with the other expenditure? I was just taking a look at your numbers. Your other expenditure is surging on a quarter-to-quarter basis. I think in the last quarter, other expenses is 44 crores. What's going on there? That's taking away all the good work that you're doing on the gross margin front. The EBITDA margins are not able to expand because a couple of expenditures like other expenses are moving up.
It has been a conscious strategy, particularly to make use of the all the reduction in the milk purchase prices and expansion in gross margin for particularly building our consumer business. And that's a thought-out strategy. So as a result of which, obviously, our transportation expenses, logistics expenses, manpower expenses, particularly on these. So all those things related to the consumer business are expanding, and we are also seeing a result of which that the consumer business overall as a proportion is going up. As per the recent vision which we have announced, we are targeting 1,000 crores of top line by 2020. So honestly, we are right now chasing volumes. And definitely the increase in gross margin, the entire additional revenue whatever we are getting, they are flowing back in building a branded business. We think this is the best time to do it.
1,000 crores of revenue from the consumer business is what you're saying, right? How much is it right now?
It's around 400 to 500 crore range right now, and we are planning to double it in next 2 years.
Okay, so corroborating that data with your FY20 target of 50% of your business coming in with B2C, are you targeting a 2,000 crore top line by FY20?
Yes, yes. The 2,000 crores is our total top line target by 2020. That's right.
All right, fair point. So that is as far as your business and long-term targets are concerned. Remember, there were a lot of reports that PE players are looking to exit stake in Prabhat Dairy. Can you tell us, are they, and are you willing to buy their stake, or you wish to sell with them as well?
Yeah, it will be difficult for to comment on that part. See, private equities obviously invest to exit at some amount of time in their life of the fund and all. So that's obviously for which they invest. This private equity have been invested in before the IPO in the company. But I don't think I am aware of any of the development right now where they are looking at exit or something like that.
No, Vivek, because one of our colleagues, Nisha, she tells us that there are a couple of PEs that are looking to exit. Can you tell us whether or not they have communicated the same to you?
No, I'm not aware of any of that development.
Okay,
there are obviously a lot of interest in the company from new financial investors and all.
Absolutely. It'll be their call whether or not they want to exit or not. We just wanted to know whether you have any communication from them. They necessarily don't need to communicate to you. But the other question, why Mangalam was asking you that is because you've done some creeping acquisition. I think you've bought around 1 to 1.5% in the last quarter. So if in case someone wants to sell, 10, 12, 15%, are you ready to go by, the SEBI guidelines and maybe buy some part of that stake, 5% per fiscal? Could that be on the cards?
See, definitely as per SEBI guidelines, last year we acquired around 4.5 to 5 years before March last year. That is the acquisition we made last year. This year it's around 1.25. So yes, as per the guidelines, we definitely can acquire 5% every year. I think it all depends on what is the kind of proposition. We remain very bullish on future of the company, of course. We as a promoters now hold more than 50.1% stake in the company.
Right.
And it will be very difficult to comment what we would be doing in the short term. But I think let's look out for opportunities. That's what I can say.
Vivek, very quickly before Mangalam comes up with the other bunch of questions, you said last year, I think in this quarter itself, you had tanked up. You went to that 4 to 5%. Now you've done around 1.5% approximately. The next few days, could it be interesting? Will you and the other set of promoters go in there and go to that 4-5%?
It will be difficult to comment on that.
That's a possibility?
It will be really difficult to comment on that.
All right,
Vivek, your comments are getting the street pepped up. The stock is at the high point of the day. So give us some more details. The PE players, we understand the guys who are looking to sell hold about 30% stake in the company. If at all they look at other people, there's a lot of competition in the dairy sector as well. You wish to stay in the company for good, right? Or if a good, exciting offer comes by, you're willing to part with your stake in the company?
You see, we are, I think, we are at a great stage in the industry. The industry is 65% is unorganized. The organized is moving very fast, and we have all the right recipes. We have all the right, I would say, ingredients for the recipe, right from a strong milk procurement network to a growing branded business. And in ingredients, we already are at a leadership position in the country. I don't see any reason why, we'll be looking at exit at this point of time. Rather, we have built a strong business of around 1,500-1,600 crores now from a scratch, and we remain very, very bullish on the company. So there is absolutely no plan at a promoter level to part at any of its things.
You are confirming that there is no plan of the promoter to sell if at all they are looking to increase their stake in the company. Can you say that?
Again, it will be difficult for that. I'll definitely, but can confirm about that. We are not looking to part at any of our stake right now.
All right, Vivek, it's getting quite tricky for you. But final question before we let you go, let's focus on business. How much does cheese contribute out of the total revenues? Are you looking to scale that? Yeah, cheese as well as...
Cheese plant is relatively it's a 2-year-old factory for us. Right now, the capacity utilization at the current run rate is around 40%.
Looking to scale that up?
Now.
Yeah.
Yes, I think next year we are targeting, in next 2 years actually the target is to reach to around 75-80%.
75,
It is a difficult business actually, to set the things right.
What about ice cream? Is that a better business?
Quality and all. Ice cream is slow track. Cheese, I think we definitely expect in next 2 years to reach at least 250 crores in terms of annual top line. Ice cream is a different ball game. We are right now we have done a soft launch exactly around a year back for ice creams, and next one whole year again it's going to be in a matter of a pilot. We are identifying because we want to establish our brand in a premium segment. That's why we have come up with a totally new brand for ice cream. I think we are still in the learning curve, and 1920 is really when that product will see a ramp up. Not in this year.
Fair point, Vivek. Thanks a lot for joining in and giving us all those clarifications. So Prabhat Dairy essentially saying that ice cream will do well. The other expenses that they've ramped up is because they are looking to grow that consumer business to about 1,000 crores. The street likes it. I think what the street likes more is that the promoters are not looking to sell stake. Whether they buy or not is something that we'll keep an eye out on. The promoters are not looking to sell stake. Cheese business, 250 crores revenue in the next 2 years.
It's trading mildly in the red as we speak. A few stocks are moving around. Well, Wipro has come off the high point of the day, so keep an eye on that one. The mid-cap index, though, continues to do some, do a bit of a move. But I think we have a CNBC TV18 exclusive as well that's coming up for you in terms of the latest on Binani Cement and, the deal that's likely to take place on that front. I think, I think we'll have Nisha with us in a short bit to take us through all those details. But for the time being, let's get in Mahindra Logistics. Well, we have Mr. Sarkari, the CEO of the company, who joins us. Well, sir, thanks so much for joining in. The street has been focusing on the advance tax refund. Now, we understand that it's at around 54 crore rupees for FY17. How much have you received so far?
So as we had maintained, the refund will start pouring in from the first quarter of the next financial year, that is from April to June of 2018. We have been in interaction with the tax department, and it looks pretty positive for us to get a part of that refunded in the first quarter.
Okay, that's perhaps not good news because a lot of the brokerages were estimating that a large part of that money would come in this year itself. So first quarter FY19. So far in the first 9 months, what's your advance tax receivable, sir?
So when you say advance tax receivable, basically the TDS that gets deducted on our transportation is at the rate of 2%. And as you know, 84% of our business is transportation. So the advance tax payable is far lesser than the TDX that is deducted. Therefore, the refund amount keeps growing. However, what we have done this year is we have now applied for reduction of that 2% to 0.5%, and we are very hopeful that we will get a reduction.
Well, thanks so much, sir, for stopping by and, in fact, giving us all those details. But let's talk about that big CNBC TV18 exclusive and all the details we have been bringing to you. Well, the fight for Binani Cement has intensified. Now, Binani Industries will challenge the COC decision in the appellate tribunal. Nisha is with us in the studio. She's getting us all those details. Nisha, over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Nigel. Like most of the big cases for good assets under the IBC route, this one is also taking a very, very ugly legal turn. And now we gather from sources that Binani Industries is going to challenge the COC order or the COC decision to award Binani Cement to Dalmia Bharat. And this in spite of Ultratech really raising its bid. So that's the matter which is going to NCLAT or the appellate tribunal today, is what we gather from sources with direct knowledge. Now remember that they've also challenged this particular matter and highlighted that while the matter has been in NCLAT, the COC has gone ahead with a decision. So how does this really stack up? We need to understand that, and I believe we have an expert with us, the former Additional Solicitor General Mr. A.S. Chandok is right here on the phone line with us. Mr. Chandok, this is Nisha Poddar from the studios. Help us understand the logic behind such a challenge in NCLAT, and when it comes to the COC decision, which is a majority decision by the lenders and the RP, versus an NCLAT case or an NCLT case which Ultratech and Binani Industries is fighting. How does this stack up, and what are the powers between the two under the IBC code?
You see, there is no dispute that after we brought this code of 2016, the regime from the court process was brought to the Committee of Creditors process. And the code intended that the Committee of Creditors would look at the business aspects, its operations, technical, everything, and see how do we rehabilitate. And I think the first principle that we all have to gather from the code is the intent is resolution, rehabilitation, bring the person back. I'm not talking about the promoters, I'm talking about the industry back, because it has to have all stakeholders in place. You have to look at the vendors, You have to look at the creditors, financial creditors, employees, all other people connected with that industry. You have to also see its impact in public interest. So just to say that I need to put more money on it would not make a difference. That's one part. But I think there's also so far a misnomer that the court has hardly any role to play. I'm talking about the adjudicating authority, whether it's NCLT or NCALT. And the very fact that NCALT was considering the matter between the two and the matter was pending, I thought the proprietary demanded that COC should have held its hand. That's the first principal part. The second part is under the code, if the purpose is to maximize the value, after all, what are you looking at? We are looking at that we must have the maximum value, one part, and see whether the resolution plan offered by somebody, I'm not talking about somebody has already taken over the management and gone ahead and invested all money, that somebody will come and say, no, I want to give something more than not. I'm not discussing that. We are at the stage when it is either COC is considering it, COC has approved it, or it has gone to NCLT or NCALT, or whether pending in any court. If that is the stage and you find that it's not attained finality, it's not that I think that somewhere some people have put this into word to say COC is the last word under the court. To my mind, no. It is the adjudicating authority's role that can't be minimized, or that can't be just look at a ministerial act. After it's a judicial. It's a judicial act. And the judicial forum, it's subject to judicial review. And under the Indian Constitution, right to judicial review is fundamental basic structure of our Constitution. So I can't probably say that the NCLT will probably look aside, stand by and say, COC, you have decided? Yes, I agree. By and large, when the NCLT sees that the decision is according to law, you've seen the process gone through, you have complied with the code, you have complied with the regulations, you've seen that the best interest of the industry is looked at, certainly it will approve it. It's not going to interfere in everything and everything.
All right.
There is Section 60 in the Act, which says the question of fact, law, process, NCLT will interfere.
All right, Mr. Chandok, we have, that's all the time we had on the show for this.
All right,
but one point really coming across is that there is a legal option ahead of some of the people who have been aggrieved by the COC's decision here. But we'll have to see how NCLT as well as NCLT really reacts to this. This particular matter is really going into an ugly legal battle. Back to you, Nigel and Manglam.
Absolutely. Nisha, I'll be interested to see where exactly does this end. Because if the bids are reopened, then you can have both the parties still saying that, no, let me bid again, etc. So the COC, yes, they've given their go-ahead. Now we'll have to see what the NCLT says on the 19th.
And it will also set the precedent for other cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why it is extremely critical, and they have to be very, very cautious in this particular case as well.
Absolutely. We've had, Mr. Gupta of Liberty House as well saying that why doesn't my bid be considered, etc. So we'll keep an eye out on this. But for the time being, we need to wrap up on Chartbusters.